Blake Lively can forget about packing her bags for New Orleans this weekend. I guess
she can go.
She can still go to the Super Bowl.
She's just not going to get the best suite, that's for sure.
She will not be in Taylor Swift's suite because their friendship is in a... I don't even know if it's right to call it a friendship anymore.
You could call it kaput.
I'm live here to let you know in case you missed it. Obviously, yesterday I teased that there's a lot of evidence here that Blake Lively and Taylor Swift were very, very close at the time that all this went down with Justin Baldoni. Beyond the text message, a lot of things they were doing was very Taylor Swifty, dropping the Easter egg. So we dedicated our whole episode to that, and I gave you the timeline of her breakup with Joe Alwyn. By the way, if you guys, for the few of you who are not following the story and don't know why this is a big deal, it's because it's the Me Too movement. I have 3 sons. It matters. So this morning, wake up, Taylor Swift's marketing team has inserted into the Daily Mail top headline that her and Blake Lively are no longer friends and that she feels used and she doesn't want to be.
Blake Lively won't be getting the VIP treatment at the Super Bowl this weekend, at least not in Taylor Swift's suite. Their so-called friendship, pretty much over. Yesterday, I laid out all the evidence of how close Blake and Taylor were when everything went down with Justin Baldoni beyond just texts. From Easter eggs to shared moments, it was all very Swift-coded. And if you're wondering why this matters, it ties back to the Me Too movement. Now Taylor's team has made it clear, she feels used and wants no part in Blake's drama. Hollywood's golden girl is in full-on crisis mode, and this time, it's not just a PR move. The truth is unraveling, and Taylor, she's done playing along. Blake Lively and Taylor Swift's once close friendship is now hanging by a thread, if not completely over. With Blake's dirty laundry being aired, Taylor has stepped back, and fans are noticing.
Where half the public's on her side and half the public thinks she's the new Amber Heard, but to make things weirder, she's being warned by Taylor Swift. And Blake Lively had one of the most profitable movies of 2024 doing the movie It Ends With Us, which made $351 million on a budget of $25 million with Justin Baldoni, who was the director. The issue was Blake Lively had a terrible relationship with Justin Baldoni on set and refused all contact with him after they finished filming. And for a while, the public did side with Justin Baldoni and hated Blake Lively with a resurfaced interview of her criticizing reporters' weight from years ago. It was claimed the reason they had a feud was because Blake Lively was upset that Justin Baldoni asked her about her weight because there was a scene he had to pick her up and he does have a serious back problem. Now things have hit a collision course with Blake Lively suing Justin Baldoni for harassment. He sued her back for defamation at a claim of $250 million. Where Taylor Swift gets in the mix here is Justin Baldoni hired a PR firm run by Scooter Braun, who's Justin Bieber's former manager. Taylor Swift doesn't like Scooter Braun because he bought the rights to her music without giving her a chance to bid on it. And Taylor Swift accused Scooter Braun of doing a smear campaign against her and also releasing Kanye West. Taylor Swift warned Blake Lively that Scooter Braun's going to try.
Lively can forget about packing her bags for New Orleans this weekend. I guess
she can go.
She can still go to the Super Bowl.
She's just not going to get the best suite, that's for sure.
She will not be in Taylor Swift's suite because their friendship is in a... I don't even know if it's right to call it a friendship anymore.
You could call it kaput.
Yeah.
At least from one side.
Yeah, what's interesting about this is that Blake is at least making it seem like they're good. And as we broke the story yesterday...
Cry and make up.
Yes, that was Blake's response to the story we told you yesterday that about the fact that Taylor is really ticked off that she's been dragged into this battle with Justin Baldoni.
And used by Blake.
Because Blake made it seem like Taylor showed up at this meeting to support her and to pressure Justin Baldoni.
When Taylor says, changes. When we're told Taylor says she had no idea Justin was even there. She was just showing up because Blake invited her, and she shows up and Blake's there, and Justin's there, and all she says to him is, "Oh, I really excited to see your movie," and he leaves, and that was it. And she makes it look like that she's a secret weapon behind all of this.
Right, and now Taylor is staring down the fact that perhaps if this thing actually does go forward, if the lawsuit goes forward,
she's going to be deposed. Yeah.
So Taylor definitely, the way it was described to us, this friendship is fractured to say the least. And a year ago at the Super Bowl, Blake Lively was there right next to her BFF, celebrating. And we're told that is not going to happen this year.
I think one of the things that triggered all of this for us to put this story up yesterday is this podcast we're doing called Two Angry Men. I do it with Mark Garrigus. Brian Friedman, Justin's lawyer, came on, and I was asking him about whether he was going to depose Taylor And if you read between the lines, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And I think that ding, 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 it went off. Oh my God, this is how far she's brought me.
This is how far. Now I have to end up sitting for a deposition.
And maybe taking the stand if it ever ends up in court, which I don't think.
Taylor Swift now have bad blood with Blake Lively. TMZ has learned that Taylor Swift feels she was used by Blake Lively in her war against Justin Baldoni, and she resents Blake calling her one of her dragons and leveraging her name. As we reported, there was a critical meeting at Blake and Ryan Reynolds' New York City penthouse with Justin to discuss a scene that Blake had rewritten for It Ends With Us. Justin has said that the meeting got super heated and he felt ambushed because Ryan and Taylor showed up. But a well-connected source close to Taylor tells TMZ Taylor came to Blake's apartment at the time Blake told her to, not knowing anyone else would be there. In other words, Taylor had no idea there was a meeting going on with Justin. The source goes on to say, Justin was about to leave after the 2-hour meeting as Taylor walked in, and she was introduced to him for the first and only time. We're told all Taylor said to Justin was how excited she was to see the movie because he was her friend's boss. Our source says Taylor believes Blake timed her meeting with Justin so Taylor would arrive before he left, and she's baffled by Blake later characterizing her as her dragon. The source adds, it's weird to say that about a friend. Remember, Blake texted Justin after the meeting, referring to herself as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones and Taylor and Ryan as her protective dragons. And there's more. The source says Taylor is also learning Blake has been inappropriately leveraging her name for a long time, like telling a young actress that Taylor cast her, which simply did not happen. TMZ dropped a new podcast Wednesday called Two Angry Men, in which Harvey asked Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, about subpoenaing Taylor for a deposition. Definitely check in to see what he says. This is a huge falling out, because remember, Taylor is the godmother to Blake and Ryan's kids.
Taylor Swift is doubling down, saying she is not involved in the making of It Ends With Us at all, but this interview from Justin Baldoni may indeed prove otherwise. Now, yesterday I did a video on how Taylor Swift, or a source of Taylor Swift, Blake has been leveraging her name for a long time, including telling the young Lily that Taylor Swift cast her, which is simply not true according to Taylor Swift's source. According to the young Lily interview, she thinks Taylor Swift helped cast her, and according to Justin Baldoni's interview I'm about to show you, he also says that Taylor had a part in casting the young Lily. And this interview was way before any of this lawsuit came about. Listen to this.
And this was her first film.
She told me Taylor Swift helped her get the role, like signed off on her audition.
I had brought in, I was casting, and I had actually brought in and showed her casting tape to Blake and Taylor, and they were both like, yes, her. And that's a true story.
Blake is in the legal battle of her life, with public opinion split. She starred in It Ends With Us, one of 2024's biggest hits, making $351 million on a $25 million budget. But behind the scenes, her relationship with director Justin Baldoni was disastrous. She cut all contact with him after filming, and when an old interview resurfaced showing her criticizing a reporter's comments on her weight, the public initially sided with Baldoni.
Global pop star Taylor Swift receiving a not-so-warm welcome at last night's Super Bowl. Swift trying to shake it off as many in a crowd of 65,000 people in the Superdome booed when she was put on the Jumbotron.
When they did show Taylor Swift, it was mostly boos, I would say.
A moment getting attention from everyone, including President Trump, who said the only one that had a tougher night than the Kansas City Chiefs was Taylor Swift on Truth Social.
The amount of booing in that stadium was absolutely horrid.
Swifties coming to her defense right away, showing their support at the game. Even Serena Williams tweeting, "I love you, Taylor Swift, don't listen to those boos." That treatment, not a new phenomenon for the celeb, as the NFL and its broadcasting partners have received backlash the last 2 seasons for showing too much of Taylor Swift, who's attended numerous games to cheer on her boyfriend, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce.
I don't think that's based on her musical abilities or fans. I think it's more just Eagles fans are so passionate about their team, and she's aligned with the Chiefs, and anything Chiefs related Eagles fans were going to boo.
But this bad blood between Swift and Eagles fans might go deeper than a simple team rivalry. Growing up in Pennsylvania, Swift actually used to be an Eagles fan herself. Her dad, Scott Swift, also said to be a lifelong Eagles fan, but supporting her daughter's boyfriend, something that clearly didn't sit right with the passionate fans of Philadelphia, who are notorious for giving people a hard time, even booing Santa Claus in the 1960s.
They're one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL, and I think it maybe borders a little bit on aggressive compared to other fan bases.
A potential end of the love story between Swift and Eagles fans.
She's in a relationship with one of their biggest stars, and Eagles fans are going to say, hey, you know what? You're part of the other team. We're going to let you hear it.
Jimmy Kimmel was very upset that Donald Trump took a shot at Taylor Swift. Trump was making fun of the fact that she got booed openly at the Super Bowl and he got cheered to the high heavens. And Jimmy Kimmel didn't much like that and had the following to say.
Trump was at the game. He got a big thrill because some of the crowd booed Taylor Swift when they put her up on the Jumbotron, which of course made Harry Conman Sr. very happy. He posted 3 times about this. After the game, he wrote, the only one that had a tougher night than the Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving. Well, she didn't get booed out of the stadium. Unlike you, she stayed for the whole game. And it was the Eagles fans who were booing her. But you're right. It's all about you. It's always all. Trump's just jealous of Taylor Swift because she has more followers and more money and no kids than he does.
Okay. By the way, I was there all the way through, and she was gone. She was missing in action for most of the second half. So I don't know what he's talking about. Trump left at his previously designated time, which was, I think, 8:02. That had been scheduled, and that is when he left. And it's a little harder, Jimmy, when you're the president of the United States, because if you leave when everybody else is leaving, you completely F them over because no one can move anywhere. It's total gridlock in the city.
Now things have escalated. Blake is suing Baldoni, and he's hitting back with a $250 million defamation lawsuit. The drama deepens as Baldoni's PR firm is run by Scooter Braun, someone Taylor Swift has a long-standing feud with. Taylor even warned Blake that Scooter would try to destroy her. With everything spiraling, one thing's for sure. Blake won't be getting a warm welcome in Taylor's Super Bowl suite this weekend. Taylor, sleep tight. You'll remember I kept saying that someone like Blake Lively wouldn't have the star power to get the New York Times to risk its reputation by smearing Justin Baldoni.
Contrary, they have been emailing me. A woman emailed me and she said, Candace, I know this is really weird, but I so vividly remember all of these articles and images and videos of Taylor Swift hanging out with this New York Times reporter. She's like, and I can't find it anywhere. It's so weird. It's like her team has purged it from the internet. I'm like, okay, very interesting. I will find this. But it was indeed difficult to find this. We ended up finding it on a Russian search engine. Okay, on November 8th, 2024. Now we're fast forwarding into the timeline. He's saying a sweet goodnight to Taylor Swift just a month before the now infamous Blake Lively filing. Take a look and a listen.
So excuse us.
Taylor, sleep tight.
Taylor, sleep tight. You will recall that I kept saying that someone like Blake Lively, this was my gut instinct, she could not have had the star power to get the New York Times to put their entire professional reputation on the line to smear someone like Justin Baldoni. They are just not in that camp of celebrities. They are not that high up of the celebrity food chain. The person that you just saw saying good night to or sleep tight to Taylor Swift is none other than Ronan Farrow. Why is that extremely significant, okay? He is, Ronan Farrow, without question, the father of the Me Too movement. The father of false allegations against men was insane. Men were losing everything overnight, and it was all because the New York Times wrote these explosive pieces, okay? But again, Ronan Farrow, what does he have to do with Blake Lively? What does he have to do with Justin Baldoni? Okay, well, he is arguably the most powerful journalist at the New York Times. You could say this, he's a Nepo baby, he's got deep connections to Hollywood. But the question here that you should be asking yourselves is, if Ronan Farrow was the father of the Me Too movement, who was the mother, because he wasn't the only one credited with the launch of the movement. Take a look at who did. Here they are, the reporters who exposed Harvey Weinstein. In their new book, She Said, the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey take readers inside the investigation that launched a movement. Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey were the mothers of the Me Too movement, okay? And that woman on the right, Megan Twohey, is indeed the woman who wrote the takedown piece regarding Justin Baldoni. When you peel and you look beneath the layers of this onion, you will recognize that those three people, like I said, are like a hit squad.
So I went to the same high school as Taylor Swift. We grew up in the same town. And I haven't seen any of the people who go in over conspiracy theories talk about this, which makes me think that people don't know that this happened. So I'll tell you. So in 2006, I'm a freshman in high school. Taylor is, I think, a junior. Teardrops on My Guitar had just come out, I think, over the summer. Obviously, she got really big, and that's the year that she left school. She was homeschooled in 2006. Something you need to know about Hendersonville High School when she first started becoming super successful is that most people hated her. Yeah. Keep in mind, these are her peers. You know, this isn't like just random people on the internet. She's literally like, 16, 17, leaving high school to pursue a career that people are telling her that she could never have, you know? Also, the guys she was writing these songs about, they were still in school, you know? They were still there. And now they have a hit song about them, talking about what a boyfriend they are, you know? There are a lot of rumors going around about how she got her start in the first place, and I don't really know. The fact remains is that there were not a lot of people at high school who had nice things to say about her. Fast forward, it's 2009, I'm a senior in high school. My senior class gets invited by Taylor Swift to the 2009 CMA Awards. So when we found out that we were going, we were all really excited. I mean, who gets invited by Taylor Swift to the CMAs? That's really cool. But it was very random. Like, we didn't know why Taylor Swift was inviting us to the CMAs. As we all know, 2009 is the year that she killed the game. Entertainer of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, Album of the Year, Music Video of the Year. Her performances were incredible. It's 2022. Taylor announces Midnights, right? It's gonna be released on Kim Kardashian's birthday. That's when I start realizing Taylor's a petty bitch. And then I start learning about all of the other petty things that Taylor has done over the years. Y'all, she invited us to the CMAs to say you. And we deserved it. So to Taylor, touche. That was a good one.
Remember I said that the tactic of Justin Baldoni's lawyers to include Taylor Swift in the lawsuit was nothing short of Machiavellian, because I knew that Taylor's name, her team would be like, we got a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, quote unquote, for me, and we don't want to be part of this at all. And now she is running for cover and leaving Blake for dead because they don't want any part of this. And that was a tactic. And I keep saying this is the craziest, by far, legal situation to ever hit the entertainment industry. The movie business has never experienced a lawsuit like this that has so many tentacles. It is crazy, and it is the around and find out endless lawsuit. That lawsuit is longer than January, which is 3 years old.
She's simply not at that level, so who would have that influence? Enter Roman Farrow. He's not just any journalist. He's the father of the Me Too movement, the man behind the bombshell stories that took down powerful men overnight. But here's where it gets interesting. If Farrow was the father of the movement, who was the mother? That would be the New York Times reporters Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey, whose work exposed Harvey Weinstein.
To your right. Move it this way.
Oh, like that?
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
This is Magnus.
Magnus,
Yes.
when I saw you earlier, you said, oh, let me get a shot. And I thought you meant of alcohol, but you meant a photograph. So guess what? Time to put up.
And what are we drinking?
Aviation American Gin, who's owned by a very, very man, who also happens to be my husband.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So let's see what you think.
We're starting early.
Yeah, we are starting early. What better time to start?
Cheers.
Cheers. How does the taste test happen?
It's good.
Oh, Oh, your voice went higher an octave. Come on, just shoot it. Just shoot it.
I'll be
the
singing
interview
if I
will be so
finish
much
this.
more interesting. We just do like just straight shots.
But I hear you don't drink, right?
I don't drink. No, this is coffee. But it's in a martini glass. Isn't that classy? Actually, I don't even like coffee, but I drink it because I love the way they crush the beans and they talk about it and the story of the, the origin of them and the milk and the foaming it and all of that. And the same thing with alcohol when I hear about, how this is distilled in Portland and how the reason this one is winning all the taste tests actually is because gin has a high juniper content, which is why a lot of people don't like gin, but this has no juniper and like all of that story I just love because I like storytelling. It's what I do for a living. And then, martinis are so I mean, that's why they're in this movie. It's just straight gin. It's not, there's nothing fancy to a martini, but the glass and the way you swirl it and you dump it and you twist the lemon and it's just like, oh, it's so So that's why. I think it's
Okay, Magnus.
Ja? Yes.
Ja, that's yes in Swedish.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened? I mean, you came in to do an interview and then she started trying to get you drunk, or what happened?
Oh god, I almost don't remember it, but
Because you got so drunk, or?
it was early in the morning.
Yeah.
What was the movie again?
A Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor. I can never remember the title, with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of surreal in a bit because I was there to interview her and they had built the set a little bit and walked into that and was completely ambushed by her promoting her husband's gin, basically. So she hijacked the interview in a sense and took it was at least almost half of that interview to talk about this the product placement. Basically, that's what it was. It was a big product placement.
And you as a journalist, how does that make you feel when someone is trying to like push you? Because she was trying to promote the brand through you.
Obviously,
right?
yeah. I mean, it was a blatant promotional thing, but and I played along. So I could of course have objected, but my job is to sort of make the talent play along, or so or I have to make the talent. Yeah, and I want to be friendly, and I want to, I want her to open up and to be able to talk. So I played along. I drank gin at 10 in the morning. I would never do that, and I kind of felt like I had to. And
you look very uncomfortable there. I saw your facial expression.
You mean more than now?
Yeah, more than now. No, but you look like you were like suffering a little bit. You didn't know what to do. And as soon as she poured you that first martini or whatever, she started saying, shuck it.
Yeah, finish it.
Yeah. And you were like,
Yeah, I mean, you come up there after having had your cereal and milk, and then all of a sudden you get gin served on the rocks.
Yeah, to do your job, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So of course it wasn't the best. I'm not saying I'm the victim. Or of course I could have said no, but it was kind of weird. The whole setup was weird.
Yeah.
And
then she started talking, and you asked her about, she doesn't even drink, which is like.
Yeah, she wanted me to drink, but she doesn't drink herself.
No.
She doesn't drink coffee either, but she loves it too. It was just like.
And she spent a lot of time talking about how you create coffee with beans and basically also to talk about how you create gin.
Yeah, I mean, that felt like a whole spiel, there was a whole setup to. She talked about how coffee is made so she could talk about how gin is made.
Yeah.
And, especially this gin that her husband owns and promotes.
Her husband, you mean?
Oh, yeah, that's of course.
So, what do you think about these celebrities promoting brands like this, especially in these interview settings? I think one thing is if you are on Instagram and you're showing off products that has your name on them or whatever, I think that's one thing. But another thing is if you sit and you invite a journalist to interview you about a movie and then you sit and push alcohol brand on them.
Yeah, especially had it been, first of all, I wonder who her advisors are, because most countries in the world you can't.
Now guess who wrote the takedown piece on Baldoni? Megan Twody. When you connect the dots, it looks like a hit squad at play. On another note, I grew up in the same town as Taylor Swift and went to the same high school. In 2006, when Teardrops on My Guitar was taking off, she left school to be homeschooled. It's surprising no one's mentioned this in the conspiracy talk, which makes me think people don't even know it happened. Back in 2006, when Taylor Swift was rising to fame at Hendersonville High School, most of her peers hated her.
The reason all men love Betty Buzz. Because at Betty Buzz, we don't test on animals. We test on men. That's a good boy. Drink up. Let him know how good it is.
Betty Buzz.
She was 16 or 17, leaving school to chase a dream everyone said was impossible. Meanwhile, the guys she wrote songs about were still there. Imagine suddenly being the subject of a hit song calling you a bad boyfriend. There were plenty of rumors about how she got her start, but one thing was clear, she wasn't exactly well-liked. Fast forward to 2009, my senior year. Out of nowhere, our class got invited by Taylor to the CNA Awards. We were excited but had no clue why. That year, she dominated Entertainer of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, Album of the Year. Then it hit me. She invited us as a giant screw you, and honestly, touche, Taylor. Years later, in 2022, she announced Midnights on Kim Kardashian's birthday. That's when I realized just how petty she can be. Looking back, it all makes sense. And now, Justin Baldoni's legal team dragging her into his lawsuit, that was pure Machiavellian strategy because they knew Taylor's name alone would shake things up.